What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm gonna finally do the long-awaited labor and delivery Q&A. I'm gonna do a get ready with me while I'm answering these, so this is why I look a little scary, a little jump scare moment if you will. We're gonna go ahead and get into all the questions, so if you want to be a part of the next question Q&A video, definitely follow me on Instagram. That's where I leave the question box for you guys. But let's get into it, so I hope you guys enjoy. The first question is, how many centimeters dilated was I when I got my epidural? So if you don't know, I did get that epidural, and I also got it with Oliver, but with Benji this time around, I got it at 3 centimeters. I think I was almost 4. Did have a scheduled induction, so I was on a little bit of Pitocin, so I wanted to get the epidural before the Pitocin contractions were too painful. I did it at a 3, almost 4, but with Ollie, I did get it when I was almost a 7. So I'm pretty sure I could have went longer without it if I went into labor naturally. But again, if they're offering it to me earlier, then I'm gonna get it earlier. Oliver's birth, I wasn't progressing enough for them to admit me. I was stuck at almost a 2. So they couldn't admit me, and then once I did get admitted finally, I was almost a 7. So that's why I waited so long with Ollie. But this time around, I was 3 centimeters. How long did I push for? So I actually only pushed for about 10 to 15 minutes, which is so crazy because like my births are so opposite of each other, but like they're both super extremely positive. But as like for when I got the epidural, how long I pushed, all that stuff, like how long did I labor for, all of that is like completely opposite. Oliver's birth was very long, even pushing was very long, and Benji's was really fast. So I expected to push a really long time, but I ended up only pushing for about 10 to 15 minutes, which was really crazy and so exciting. If you saw my labor and delivery video, my epidural did start to wear off. That is a question. The question is, did your epidural wear off? I seen where you are in pain in your video towards the end. So yes, my epidural did wear off. I think it's because I progressed so fast that my epidural just didn't have enough time to work when I went. I think I went from a 7 to a 10 like really fast. So my epidural couldn't keep up for a second, which was actually terrifying. It was still working a tad bit, but it definitely was pretty painful. Contractions were not fun. So yes, it did wear off. We did thankfully get it working again before I had to push, which I was very nervous about. I was telling my nurse, like, my epidural's not working. She's like, well, did you press the button? And I'm like, yes, I pressed the button, but nothing came out of it one time. And then obviously, if you don't know, if you press the epidural button, it doesn't let you press it again for, I think it's like 15 minutes after that. Even though it didn't release any of the epidural medication, it still wouldn't let us press the button again for another 15 minutes. So I was not without my epidural, but feeling the pain of contractions for about 20 minutes before I could press it again. So that definitely wasn't fun. And then also right when we were about to start pushing, the anesthesiologist, like assistant girl or whatever, came in and did give me a little bit of something else to help with the pain. She said, you'll still feel pressure, but you won't have any pain. And that's exactly what happened. So yes, my epidural did start to wear off, which was a little terrifying. This question is also about the epidural. This one is just asking if I got it. She said, did you get the epidural again this time? I want it, but I'm scared. Yes, I did get it. The only thing I will say about getting the epidural a second time was the spot where I did get my epidural was a little bit more tender than it was because I obviously have already had an epidural before, and I wasn't in excruciating pain when I got it done. So I definitely felt it go in more than I did last time. Whereas last time I was in so much pain, all I could focus on was the contractions and not the epidural actually going in my back. Uh-oh, we gotta pause and go get the baby. But I did feel it this time, like going in. So getting the epidural was a little bit more painful this time, but it's 10 out of 10 worth it. Like I would get it over and over again because I'd rather have like that 10 to 15 minutes of pain of getting the epidural rather than who knows how long of laboring without it, if you know what I mean. Was it easier for you the second time around since it was obviously your second baby? The answer is yes. Everything about this labor and delivery was so much easier. Again, it did hurt a little bit more when I got the epidural, and then getting my IV in sucked, but that's because I was dehydrated. Whereas last time when I went into labor naturally, I obviously had water that day, so they can find a vein way easier. And I wasn't allowed to eat after 12, like midnight, and went in and didn't get started till like 10 in the morning. So I was very dehydrated and it was really hard for them to find a vein. It was way easier, so much smoother. I did not tear this time, whereas last time I had a 2nd degree tear. So everything really was just so much better this time around. Whereas last time it wasn't terrible. Again, I wasn't in any pain with Ollie. It was just very long and exhausting. Okay, someone decided that he wanted to join us. He is trying to go to sleep and he's struggling. But the next question is, was I scared for labor this time around, since I kind of knew like what happens and things like that? So yes, I was a little bit scared, but that's because again, I was going in for an induction, whereas last time I went into labor naturally. So I was nervous because I didn't know what to expect with an induction, especially since I feel like the only induction stories that I've heard personally are like horror stories. So I was so scared that mine was going to turn into an emergency C-section, which there's nothing wrong with a C-section, but I was just like really terrified because I've never done one before. I've obviously had a vaginal delivery, so that's what I wanted to do. So I was a little bit scared for that reason. And I was also scared since I had such a positive experience with my first birth that this one was going to be like more traumatic or something like that, especially since my epidural worked perfectly, all that. I was scared it wasn't going to work this time. And I mean, it didn't work for a little bit, but it did work majority of the time, which is important. So the next question is, I kind of already answered this already. Did I tear with both of my deliveries? I was gonna say pregnancies. Well, no, I did not. I tore with Ollie. I had a 2nd degree tear with him and I got only a couple stitches. And with Benji, I did not tear, surprisingly. I was so excited. So basically, my recovery was pretty much like a kind of heavy period, since it wasn't like torn down there, like it wasn't that painful. The second day was a little bit more tender to pee, but no like excruciating pain or like itchiness or anything like that. I'm sorry if the camera keeps moving or if it's tilted. Again, I'm doing this one-handed, so this is as good as it's gonna get. How long was I in labor for? So my induction, we were told to be at the hospital at 7 a.m. So I thought that that's when we would get started, but we actually didn't start the induction process till close to 10 or 11. I don't exactly remember which one it was, but my induction altogether, I think my mom said, was about 8 hours, which I was so surprised because again, my first delivery was forever. I labored at home for like a whole day and a half, and then I went to the hospital and labored even more over there. So I was expecting to be in labor longer than that, but I wasn't expecting to be in labor for like 2 days like I was with Ollie, but it was only 8 hours, which was really nice. This is a more feeding related question. Did you bring your own formula and bottles at the hospital? No, we did not. The hospital provides that for you. So right before we got started, or we had gotten started on my induction already, they asked if I was going to be breastfeeding or bottle feeding, like formula feeding. And obviously, if you don't know, I formula feed. Personal preference and choices and a lot of things go into that, one of them being my mental health. But the hospital provides that. So they asked me if I was going to do that, and I said I was going to formula feed. And they're like, okay, what kind of formula would you like? And they kind of tell you what formula they have. And we just started Benji on sensitive formula like we did with Oliver, because Oliver does does have a milk sensitivity or dairy sensitivity, if you will. So I was kind of nervous that he would have one too. I have a sensitive stomach to dairy, so I think it was just like best to do that because I don't really want to deal with a vomiting baby. And I did that with Ollie. Oliver threw up all the time, but Benji's not like that, and I think it has to do with his formula. So that's what we do. Next question is, oh, did you drop your nanny? Did you drop it? Oh no. Yeah. You sticking your tongue out. You sticking your tongue out. You got a hair on your chin. You growing hair already, sir? So the next question is, have you used the peanut ball during labor and delivery? And yes, I did. So we used it after, I think it was like 15 to 20 minutes after I had that epidural, just to make sure that it was working on both sides. So they did that for me just to make sure that it was working. And I did have it with Oliver as well. And also another question was how, like what induction method they do for me, because there's like a bunch of different ways that you can be induced. For me, we just did a little bit of Pitocin because I actually started contracting on my own that morning that we were in the hospital before they started anything. And I was 3 centimeters dilated and about 80% effaced. So they only needed a tiny bit of Pitocin just to kickstart the labor process. And my body kind of like did its own thing and did it on its own. So someone asked, someone said that I am 6 weeks postpartum and still haven't fully recovered. How do you look perfect? Okay, I'm not, thank you first. I'm definitely not perfect. I feel like I just have really easy recoveries postpartum. I don't bleed a lot. They're always worried when I don't bleed a lot after a delivery. They always think like there's a problem. But after a while, they're like, okay, you're good. Like, it's just how your body is. So I don't bleed a lot. Thank you that you say that, but everybody's postpartum experience is different. And mine, I think, is just a tiny bit easier than other people's. And that's not me bragging. It's just how it is. I think I definitely got lucky in that aspect of recovery. So that's it. I usually stop bleeding about 3 weeks postpartum. That's how it was with both boys. I got my period back with Ollie at 6 weeks postpartum, and we are going to see when I get it back with Mr. Benji. Mr. Benji boy. Hi, what are you doing? Say hi. Hi. So I still haven't gotten my period back. I'm only, I think, 5 weeks postpartum today, actually. So we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of nervous. Usually, oh, well, I've only had one before him, but my first postpartum period back was pretty heavy, so I'm curious to see how it's going to be this time. So I was asked how I am doing mentally and physically. So let's start with mentally. Mentally, I am pretty okay. If you don't know, I do have anxiety medication that I started taking when I was in my 3rd trimester of pregnancy. I had severe postpartum anxiety with Oliver, and it was kind of debilitating. We did go to Disney. I don't know if you guys remember that. And that trip was like the peak of my postpartum anxiety. On the way down to Disney, I hyperventilated and cried pretty much the entire time because I was so scared that we were gonna die in the car. And after that trip, I was like, I really need to go on some type of medication to help me. And then we did end up getting pregnant. We did end up getting pregnant with Mr. Benji, and I didn't want to start taking something when I was pregnant because I was nervous of like the side effects and stuff like that. And then towards the end of my pregnancy, I did bring it up to my doctor because my anxiety was not obviously getting any better. It was kind of just pretty bad, especially being pregnant. There's so many like things to worry about when you're pregnant. So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said that it would be best that I got on it before postpartum because you don't want to do that postpartum because it can just get like really, really bad again postpartum. So we decided that it would be best for me to go on medicine towards the end of pregnancy, and it has helped me so much. It has not taken away my anxiety. It has just like made it a lot better than what it was. I don't get that nervous in the car anymore, whereas before I would be like constantly going like this in the car if my husband was driving. I really couldn't drive Ollie around because it made me anxious and I was scared everybody was gonna hit into us. So I definitely feel a lot better in that aspect of my anxiety, but I give all the credit to that to medication. So mentally I am good. The first day we came home, I did struggle a little bit feeling sad and stuff like that, but I think it was just because I didn't hold Benji a lot that day because I didn't want to make Oliver jealous. It was the first time that Ollie and Benji were home together, so I didn't want to make him jealous, and I think that really bothered me that like I didn't hold my baby a lot. So then I made it a priority to, not a priority, but I kind of just like tried my best to hold him as much as I could, but also still try to find the perfect balance of being with Ollie, which is super hard at first. Now it's kind of gotten better. Oliver is starting to get a little bit jealous, so that is kind of hard. So I did struggle with a little bit of sadness in the beginning, but it went away and I'm all good now. Physically, I am feeling so good. Again, I didn't tear, so I didn't really have that much pain, but as soon as I stopped bleeding, I started feeling amazing. I mean, I felt amazing even when I was bleeding. Like my mom says she sees a difference, my husband sees a difference. I'm finally like feeling like myself again. When I'm pregnant, I do not feel like myself. I do not feel good. I don't know if anybody does, but I can't. Being pregnant is just not good on my mental health, period. Like that's just it. But I'm feeling so much like myself. It is not even funny. I'm feeling great. I am gonna start my fitness journey soon. I'm starting to eat a little bit better, so that definitely has helped me. I'm gonna go do this off camera because I cannot focus and talk at the same time as doing my eyeliner, but I just feel so good and I'm so excited to start working out. I'm so excited to start eating better. We are going to Disney very soon, so we're obviously going to eat whatever we want in Disney, but then when we come back, we're gonna be on our health grind. But I'm just like so excited and I'm feeling so good. So I'm just so happy. How many times am I gonna say so? I'm so happy that I feel like myself again. And if you are feeling down, if you are feeling like not yourself and you're pregnant, I promise you it comes back and you feel like yourself again. Just try to get through it. It is so hard to get through, but I promise it'll all be okay. That's pretty much all the questions that I'm going to be answering today. I'm gonna go ahead and finish. I'm gonna do my mascara with you guys. But yes, I just wanted to say again, like if you're pregnant, I totally, and like you're not feeling like yourself, I totally get it. I was there. I didn't show it as much because I wasn't gonna show that, because again, it wasn't like me really knowing that I wasn't acting like myself. I thought I was fine in the moment until now I'm looking back and I was 100% not myself. I thought everything was good, so I don't want you guys to think that I was hiding that I was not okay. I didn't know that I was not myself and I was not okay. I thought I was fine. I thought everything was fine. I did like have some days where I was like, maybe I'm like not acting like myself, but I never knew that like my whole pregnancy I was not myself until again I had him, and I'm so much happier and feeling amazing and all that. So I totally get it. It gets better, I promise. It is so hard in the moment to get through everything because you're just uncomfortable. You're growing a human who's kicking everything inside of you, making you have to pee every 5 seconds. And like, if you're not sleeping when you're pregnant, I promise that gets better. I would 1000% take newborn tired over pregnancy tired any day. Being pregnant and not being able to sleep at night is literally the worst, because I had to pee, I kid you not, every hour, and then I just couldn't get comfortable. My ribs hurt. He was constantly in my ribs. It was just like not a good time. And now I'm just, you know, taking care of a baby and has to eat every 2 to 3 hours, and it's so much better than being uncomfortable in your sleep and you can't sleep because you're pregnant, you know what I mean? So that definitely gets better if you're struggling to sleep while you're pregnant. I promise. Newborn tired is so much better than pregnancy tired. But that is it for our makeup today. Oliver is waking up, so I need to go and grab him. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for asking me questions. I had such a great time filming this. I love just like word vomiting to you guys because I can talk for hours about anything, but I always get nervous that people just want me to shut up, so I don't. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos. Follow me on Instagram. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!